Welcome back. We're really digging deep today, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Grabbing those shovels.
Exactly. We're going after the secrets of building wealth, that lasting kind of wealth.
The kind we all dream of.
That's the one. And we've got some interesting material to guide us, something about building on 3 pillars, I think they called it.
I'm intrigued. Pillars are usually a good sign.
Let's hope so, right? So these pillars are ahorer, invertier, and creaser. In plain English, we're talking saving, investing, and growing.
Okay, I'm liking this already. It's refreshing to see a source acknowledge that financial success isn't just about crunching numbers, It's bigger than that. It's about mindset, too.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It's about the whole picture. So pillar number 1, ahorer, that's to save. Got to start with the foundation, right?
Can't build a house on sand.
Exactly. The source even compares it to planting a seed. You need that solid base before you can even think about real growth.
Makes sense. Got to give those finances the right conditions to sprout and flourish, right? Speaking of which, the source goes beyond just, stuffing cash under a mattress. It emphasizes that saving. It's about building that financial resilience, being ready for whatever life throws your way.
So being prepared for those unexpected bills, the car breaking down, that sort of thing.
Exactly. And it breaks it down into a few categories. There's emergency savings, your safety net.
Yeah.
Then you've got your goal-oriented savings, the dream vacation, down payment on a house, whatever gets you excited. And of course, we can't forget about the future retirement savings.
Right. Got to have that long-term vision. It's like before you even start building, you need that financial blueprint, a solid plan.
Love the analogy. Planning is key.
And speaking of plans, this source lays out some really practical tools and strategies to make saving almost. Well, maybe not fun exactly, but definitely easier. What about this zero-based budgeting?
Classic for a reason. It's all about assigning every single dollar a job. No more wondering where your money went at the end of the month.
It's like giving your money a purpose, right? Every dollar has its place.
And it really helps you see where your spending aligns with your priorities and where you might be, a little off track.
That's such a good point. It's not just about restricting yourself. It's about being intentional with your spending.
Exactly. And for those who prefer a more visual approach, there's always the envelope method.
Oh, yeah. I've heard good things about that. So you've got your groceries envelope, your entertainment envelope, and so on.
Right. It makes budgeting tangible, almost like a game.
Right. I can see how that would be really helpful for some people. It takes the guesswork out of it.
And of course, we can't forget about automation. Setting up those automatic transfers to your savings account, it's like magic.
It's like you're tricking yourself into saving without even realizing it.
Exactly. Because let's face it, we're human, right? We're wired for that instant gratification. Procrastination is our middle name.
Oh, tell me about it. It's that I'll start saving tomorrow mentality.
Exactly. And then there's something called loss aversion. That feeling of like the pain of losing money is way stronger than the joy of gaining it.
Oh, that's so true. I hate losing money way more than I enjoy earning it. It's not even close.
Right. So we put off saving because we don't want to see our checking account balance go down, even though it's for our own good in the long run.
It's that classic cookie jar versus retirement fund dilemma.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why having those systems in place, those automatic transfers, those budgeting tools, they make it easier to do the right thing even when we don't feel like it.
It's like we're outsmarting our own brains.
In a way, yes. And the best part is you don't need to be a financial genius to make this work. It reminds me of Warren Buffett, actually.
Oh, the legend himself.
Yes, arguably the most successful investor ever. And you know what? He started saving at a young age, just like we're talking about. It's not about being a genius. It's about consistency and building those good financial habits over time.
It's like any other skill. The more you practice, the better you get.
Exactly. And speaking of skills, that leads perfectly into our next pillar, invertier, which is all about making your money work for you.
That sounds more like it. I have to admit, when I hear investing, I get a little intimidated. I picture those intense stock traders yelling buy and sell on those chaotic trading floors.
Oh, I know that scene well.
Oh.
But our source actually dives into the work of Benjamin Graham, and he literally wrote the book on this stuff.
Wait, there's a book?
There is. It's called The Intelligent Investor, a classic for a reason.
The Intelligent Investor. I like the sound of that.
Right. And according to Graham, being an intelligent investor isn't about having a sky-high IQ. It's about temperament more than anything else.
Temperament. That's interesting. So what, being calm under pressure?
That's part of it, for sure. He emphasizes patience, discipline, and the ability to think for yourself, not just following the crowd.
Okay, so not just blindly following the latest financial guru or stock tip.
Exactly. And Graham, he draws a really important distinction between investors and speculators. Speculators, they're like those folks chasing the latest trend, all caught up in the hype and letting their emotions drive their decisions.
Okay, so they're just gambling on what's hot right now, hoping for a quick buck.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But investors, they're different. They're more like detectives.
Detectives, now that's an image I wouldn't have pictured.
Right. They look for clues. They carefully analyze a company's value, its performance, its growth potential. They're not swayed by every little market fluctuation.
So it's less about trying to time the market perfectly and more about understanding the true value of what you're investing in.
You got it. And Graham highlights this key concept he calls the margin of safety. Imagine finding, let's say, a $100 bill just lying on the ground, but you only have to pay $50 for it.
That's a no-brainer. Sign me up.
Exactly. And that's essentially what the margin of safety is all about, buying an asset for significantly less than its intrinsic value. It gives you a cushion, some breathing room if the market takes a dip.
It's about being strategic, mitigating risk, not just jumping on the next big thing without really thinking it through.
Precisely. And when it comes to actually putting this into practice, the source lays out a few different paths you can take. There's the stock market, of course. Then you've got real estate, always a popular choice. And then there are investment funds.
So like mutual funds and index funds.
You got it. Those are great for diversification, especially if you're not ready to pick individual stocks.
And don't forget about entrepreneurship. There's something exciting about starting your own business or investing in someone else's dream.
Absolutely. That entrepreneurial spirit, that's another form of investment, both financially and personally.
And for our listeners who really want to dig deeper into Graham's wisdom, and trust me, it's worth it. We've included a link to a Kindle version of The Intelligent Investor in the show notes. Knowledge is power, right? Especially when it comes to your hard-earned money.
Couldn't agree more. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's move on to that third and final pillar, creaser, which means growth. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready. Growth sounds good to me.
It's all about cultivating a wealth mindset, you see. Our source really dives deep into how our beliefs about money, those deep-seated beliefs, they actually shape our financial reality.
It's like that saying, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Our beliefs really do have a powerful impact on our actions.
They absolutely do. And those actions, they ultimately determine our outcomes.
Yeah.
The source uses this great word here, mentalidad.
Okay, mentalidad. It's like our money mindset.
Exactly, that deep-seated belief system we have around money. And the thing is, sometimes those beliefs, they're not doing us any favors. We might have these limiting beliefs, things like, I'll never be wealthy, or money is the root of all evil.
Yeah, we've all heard those things before, and it's easy to internalize them without even realizing it.
Exactly. And as long as we're clinging to those beliefs, they act like this invisible ceiling, limiting our potential without us even realizing it. It all comes down to scarcity versus abundance. Do we see money as something that's always running out, or do we believe there's enough to go around?
Wow, that's such a powerful distinction. Scarcity versus abundance. It's like two completely different ways of looking at the world.
Exactly. And that outlook, that mindset, it influences every financial decision we make.
And the thing is, the source doesn't just leave us hanging with these big concepts, you know? It actually gives us some really practical strategies for cultivating a wealth mindset, which we'll dive into right after this.
So before we took a break, we were starting to get into this idea of scarcity versus abundance, almost like rewiring how we think about money, deep down.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. And the good news is our brains, they're adaptable. This source, it actually gives us some tools to make that shift, that move from scarcity to abundance. One that really stood out to me was visualization.
Visualization. So we're talking about really picturing your goals like they're already happening, almost like giving your mind a sneak preview of the success that's coming.
Right.
Exactly. And it's not just some vague daydream,
Yeah.
The source really emphasizes engaging all your senses. It's not just what you see in the successful future. It's what you hear, feel, even what you smell, what you can taste. Imagine really stepping into that version of yourself who's already financially free.
It's about creating that experience internally, so real that it starts to shift your beliefs and actions right now in the present moment.
That's pretty cool. And on that note of powerful tools, we've got to talk about affirmations.
Yes, affirmations is one of those things that can feel a bit, strange at first. Like, are you really going to stand in the mirror and talk to yourself? But it's about consciously choosing those thoughts, those beliefs, the ones that empower you instead of holding you back. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, it's flipping the script. saying something like, I'm attracting abundance, or I'm open to new opportunities, or something like that.
Exactly. You're shifting that internal dialogue. Instead of focusing on lack, you're opening yourself up to possibility.
Just that little change in perspective, it can make a world of difference.
Oh, and can't forget about one from the source that I really loved, gratitude.
Ah, gratitude. It's amazing how such a simple thing can be so, I don't know, transformative. But it's true, the source explains it so well. When you focus on what you're grateful for, it pulls you out of that scarcity mindset. You start appreciating all the good that's already present in your life.
It's like that saying, gratitude turns what you have into enough. Instead of always chasing the next thing, the next purchase, whatever, you start to find contentment right now in this moment. And from that place of contentment, that feeling of gratitude, you're in a much better position to make those clear, empowered decisions about your finances.
Makes sense. You're not coming from a place of fear or lack, you're coming from abundance. The source also makes a good point about your social circle. It's about who you choose to surround yourself with, especially people who support your goals, your financial goals.
It's huge. Because think about it, if you're constantly around people who are negative about money, always complaining, reinforcing those limiting beliefs,
Yeah.
it's bound to rub off on you.
Yeah, you pick up those vibes whether you want to or not. It's like that saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if those 5 people are always saying things like, money doesn't grow on trees, well,
Exactly.
hmm,
But on the flip side, if you surround yourself with people who are financially savvy, who are generous, who really embody that abundance mindset, well, it's contagious in the best way possible.
it's about surrounding yourself with those positive influences, those who inspire you to up your own game, financially speaking. And of course, we can't forget about good old-fashioned learning. Knowledge is power.
Always. The source really emphasizes financial education. It's key to making those smart, informed decisions that build lasting wealth.
Whether it's cracking open a book like The Intelligent Investor, which we mentioned earlier, listening to podcasts like this one, hopefully, taking a course, whatever it takes, the more you know, the more confident and empowered you become when it comes to managing your money.
It's about being your own advocate, making choices that align with your values, your goals.
And the source does make sure to remind us that with any investment, there's always going to be an element of risk.
Right, it's part of the game. It's not about trying to avoid risk altogether. That's impossible. It's about understanding the risk, understanding how to mitigate it. Before you jump into anything, you got to do your research, understand the potential downsides, have a plan.
So not just jumping in blindly, hoping for the best, which again goes back to that creaser mindset, right? It's about seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, adapting your strategies along the way.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, financial freedom, it's not just about hitting a certain net worth. It's about having the freedom to live life on your terms, pursue your passions, make a difference in the world.
I love how this source brings everything full circle. It's the mindset, the saving, the investing, it's all connected. This holistic approach really drives home the point that it's not just about luck, you know? You have the power to shape your financial future.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And like any worthwhile endeavor, it's going to take some effort, some dedication. The source even references a proverb, though it doesn't explicitly mention the Bible. But the gist is that slow, steady growth, that's what's sustainable.
It's like those cautionary tales you hear about people winning the lottery. Sudden wealth, but they didn't have the mindset, the skills to manage it, poof, gone.
Exactly. This is about building that lasting wealth, the kind that brings you security, that you can pass on to future generations.
So to recap, those 3 pillars, right? We start with the horar, building that strong foundation by understanding our savings goals, using those practical strategies to make it automatic, take out the guesswork. Then there's invertir, becoming those intelligent investors, the detectives, remembering it's a marathon, not a sprint. And of course, it all comes together with creaser, that wealth mindset. That's what allows you to make smart choices, face those inevitable challenges, and come out stronger on the other side.
It's a powerful framework, no doubt. But like anything, it all starts with taking that first step.
And speaking of taking action, this source leaves us with a really thought-provoking question.
Ooh, I love a good question. Always gets the wheels turning.
Right. So here it is. Knowing what you now know about these 3 pillars, a horar, invertir, creaser, and that all-important mindset piece, what's one small step you can take today, right now, to start building your own path to financial freedom?
It seems like such a simple question on the surface, but it's powerful. It's a call to action. It's about taking what we've learned and actually doing something with it.
Exactly. It's not just about consuming information, it's about putting it into practice. And that first step, it's going to look different for everyone. Maybe it's finally setting up that automatic savings plan you've been putting off. Maybe it's finally picking up that book, The Intelligent Investor, and really diving in.
Or hey, maybe it's as simple as making a conscious choice to be more positive about money, more abundant in your thinking.
The important thing is to just start somewhere. Even those small, consistent actions, those little steps can turn into big results over time.
Absolutely. It's not about being perfect, it's about progress. And who knows, the knowledge you gain, the habits you build, they could create a ripple effect for years to come, not just in your life, but in the lives of those around you. That's something to think about.
It really is incredible when you think about it like that. The impact we can have just by changing our own relationship with money.
It's a ripple effect, absolutely.
And the best part is it's never too late to start making those changes, to start building that better future for yourself.
Couldn't agree more. The beauty of this journey, this path to financial freedom, is that it's always open to you, no matter where you're starting from.
It's about taking that first step and then the next and the next, building that momentum.
And remember, it's a journey, not a race. You're not competing with anyone else. It's about running your own race at your own pace.
Exactly. No need to compare yourself to anyone else. We all have different starting lines, different goals, different timelines. It's your journey.
And like any good journey, it's going to have those ups and downs, those detours, those unexpected bumps in the road. That's just part of it.
Right. No one's path is perfectly smooth, but those bumps, those challenges, they're also opportunities for growth.
Exactly. It's about how we choose to see them. Do we see them as setbacks, or do we see them as learning experiences? Those moments that make us stronger, more resilient.
So true. Because when we approach this journey with a growth mindset, with that openness to learn and adapt along the way, it becomes less about, I don't know, figuring it all out perfectly and more about enjoying the process, the ride.
I love that, enjoying the ride. Because, let's be honest, dealing with finances, it can be a bit, dry at times. A bit intimidating.
To say the least. It can feel overwhelming, all those numbers, all those decisions. But when we approach it with a sense of curiosity, a sense of adventure, it changes the whole game.
It does. It becomes less about I have to and more about I get to. Like, I get to learn about investing. I get to make choices that support my future. I get to create a life of abundance.
Such a good point. It's about reframing those thoughts, those beliefs. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about progress. Every step you take, no matter how small, it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. So as we wrap things up here, I want to encourage you, our listeners, to hold on to that question we posed earlier.
The one about that one small step you can take today.
That's the one. What's that one action you can take right now to move yourself closer to that vision of financial freedom?
It could be something as simple as checking in on your budget or finally setting up that automatic savings plan.
Or maybe it's finally picking up that book we mentioned, The Intelligent Investor. Or even just having a conversation with someone you trust about your finances. It all counts.
The key is to just start somewhere.
Yeah.
And to keep that momentum going.
Absolutely. Because even the most incredible journeys, they all start with that single powerful step. So take it and see where it leads you.
Beautifully said. And on that note of inspiration and action, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, thought-provoking, and most importantly, motivating.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.